You've got tuned to KEXP. This is listener-powered radio streaming all over the world at kexp.org and on our mobile apps. KEXP is nonprofit radio, and all of these fantastic sessions are made possible with support from folks just like you. If you want to give, you can go to kexp.org and make a donation today, become an amplifier, and amplify all of this music that you love here on KEXP. I am your host, Kennedy, and I'm so excited to be here in the live room with the Portland band Risley. Thanks so much for being here, y'all. I'm really stoked to do this today.
Thank you so much for
having us.
Yeah. Well, whenever you're ready, we would love to hear some music. It's Risley, live on KEXP.
can come untied again. The only way out is through. Fade so quickly as you fall. I spot the sun through cloudy skies, and even on a starless night, you know that I'll be looking for the moon. Never been easy.
listening to Risley live on KEXP, listener-powered radio. That was so awesome. Thank you all so much. You sound great.
Thank you, Kennedy.
Thank you, Kennedy.
And happy birthday. It was Kennedy's birthday yesterday. We're saying it here.
Happy birthday.
Timestamp it in.
Oh, God. Thank you.
And many more.
You just heard a whole set of songs from Risley's. Well, 3 of them was from your latest release, and then 1 was from your release from 2021, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yes. The new record is Umbra Penumbra. Am I saying that right? I feel like I've said it wrong on air so many times.
You know, I'm not positive. I thought it was Umbra Penumbra, but that's...
Okay, that's how I initially said it.
I don't know that. I won't die on that hill. It could be Umbra Penumbra.
Tomato,
Tomato,
Abracadabra.
I like that. Well, the new record is so good. I have been loving it. It has been on repeat in my headphones. And the track that you just played, Walls, I saw that Dave Abrazazi, who formerly played in Pearl Jam, was featured on that track on the record. That is so cool. What was it like collaborating together? How did that all come together?
So we became Facebook friends. We became online friends over the years and kind of bonded more on like politics and non-music stuff. And then at some point the discussion just ventured into music, which I always kind of like kept purposely stayed away from. And he was like, send me a track. And he was like, oh my gosh, I would love to, try my hand at it. And who am I to say no? So sent it over. And and he remotely, did all the session work and sent it back over. And totally lucky to have had his talent sprinkled on it. But we're also so fortunate to have Andrew playing it better than ever every night. And it was a very cool collaboration, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Such a cool collaboration. And it seems like Risley has like clearly evolved from when it started in 2016. And community seems to have played a big role in this band. From your collaborative debut, I know that was a long debut. Was it like 22 tracks or something like that?
Yeah, which it seems like there's no self-editing involved there, but that was actually, there was 138 songs.
138?
Yes. So it's actually like a banner, example of self-editing if you think about it that way. But yeah, it was a long gap between projects, and so a lot had amassed, and yeah.
Have any of those songs that weren't included on that first record popped up anywhere else?
No?
Do you plan on it?
There's just always such a big stack of papers on the desk to deal with.
Yeah, no, that is so
New
true.
is always shinier, so,
I hate to bring up the word, but was that during the pandemic too?
No, actually, no. That was not. No excuses.
Well, forget about that. Let's all forget about that.
Well, if anyone's interested in our anthology down the road and wants to put that out, we can supply a heavy stack of B-sides.
I love it. If you ever run out of ideas, you have plenty in the bank to go back on, and that's always good to have.
Sure thing.
Well, I'm curious how this sense of community has influenced the band's growth and identity over the years, almost 10 years that this has been a project.
Crazy. Yeah, 9 years. Wow.
9 years, yeah.
That is wild. Well, I guess that it had a lot to do with the inception of the project. I was in between projects, my old band T for Julie, which we actually came into KEXP, and you guys were so wonderful to us. But after that project, I kind of became a studio nerd for a while and was producing a lot of other local bands and friends bands, and a lot of those people lent their talents while in the studio to that initial huge, bloated batch of songs. And I think there was 12 people that were on that first album, and then a lot of them came to help bring the project to life live, and But yeah, it has evolved since then, and we're just so lucky to be part of the Portland music scene, and there's and the Northwest at large. We're just now becoming friends with all these great Seattle bands too, partially through KEXP and in this opportunity. And last night played with some great bands, and so yeah, always just thrilled to be involved.
Yeah. And I also saw that you worked with Adam Gonsalves on this record, who has mastered so many records that, like, I love personally. I was just going through.
He's done all 3 Risley records.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, I was just going through, like, his whole list of credits, and I was like, oh my gosh, from, like, Team Deresh to Ila Bamba. I know that he did some remasters of Elliott Smith, which I love.
Peter Buck.
Peter Buck, Blackwater Holy Light. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on.
For sure.
He's a busy guy.
He's a busy guy. I can tell.
Owner, too, I
He's
believe,
a sweetheart,
of
too.
Telegraph. And
Yes. I
does-
also read that.
Does the work, yeah.
Well, how did you connect with Adam, and why did you find him as a good fit to master the record?
Well, the first time that we used him on the first record, Larry Crane, I don't know if you know who he is. He's a very storied local engineer and producer in Portland, and famously his studio, Jackpot Studios, he built with Elliott Smith and recorded, a lot of those early works of his. The list goes on, amazing list, but so he actually recommended Adam to me personally, initially, and then I've just stuck with him. We've stuck with him.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't know that he did all 3 records. That's really cool. I mean, I think that listening back to your first record, your sound has just become so much, I don't know, tighter, concise, and it sounds so good.
That has everything to do with like me not knowing what I was doing, recording it in the beginning, and then learning more and getting better stuff.
Yeah. So do you have a studio yourself?
Yeah. We recorded everything ourselves. So,
cool. That's nice. How long did it take to record the whole record?
It's a long, bloated process.
Yeah.
I think it was like, we didn't like sit down and do it as a session. It was kind of like a work in progress over time. So it was probably over the course of almost 2 years, maybe.
Nice.
I loved that process, though. It definitely helped the songs grow and like come back to it.
It's a luxury.
Change a little bit, evolve. Yeah.
But you could also take forever when it's like that. So there's something great about just going into a studio and getting it done, too.
Sure.
So, what did Andrew, any observations from your experiences recording this way?
Yeah, it feels like a luxury to be able to return to tracks that you did, a month ago, 2 months ago, and then try another take at it. I love that process, yeah.
Well, over that process, was there any like specific song on the record that changed a lot from its conception as you were recording and had time to listen and re-listen and kind of take all of that in?
Esterly. Well, I mean, you have more of the story background on that song, but there's a song called Esterly that we wrote in just more of a jam, and it's had a lot of different endings, I'll say that, and it evolved a lot of times, and we love how it ended up, but that song just kept having a different vibe, and we tried it out even incomplete one time at a show. I think that was the Fixin' too. I don't think we even had an ending then, and we kind of just jammed it out, and that might have just kind of started that. But yeah, I mean, it was an evolution.
Yeah, and the last song, Rev, also kind of evolved and really came to fruition, like through the Refiner's Fire in the studio, like in the recorded process, and it had kind of also evolved from a jam, but there was then a point where I just kind of burrowed away one day and added all of these things and like strings and acoustic guitar and piano, and then I played it back to them, and it was like this changed animal. But
yeah, that's really awesome. I love that you were able to have that time to kind of mull it over, let it steep in, and re-listen and rework. I think that's really can be a magical thing to have, especially as an artist, where most of the time you're going in the studio and you're just like playing through, hoping you get some good takes.
Right, you rush out to the car, you rush to the boombox, you're like, did we get it? Right, and so this way everyone has more than enough time to check all their,
Yeah, I think that definitely is the reason why the record just sounds so, I don't know, it sounds so polished.
Well, thank you.
Which is really wonderful. And Michael, I want to talk to you. I read that you are one of the founders of PDX Pop Now.
It's true.
Which is really cool. I actually was in Portland this past September at the PDX Pop Now
Were you
Festival.
really?
I was, yeah, because
Wow.
I've listened to the compilations forever.
Oh, that's so cool.
Hosting Audio Oasis and looking for cool Portland bands.
That warms my heart.
It's a really, really cool organization. How did you first get involved with that? I'm curious.
So there was like an online chat thread about like being romantic about this old festival that used to happen under the Hawthorne Bridge in Portland in the 90s. And everyone was like, wouldn't it be cool if something like that happened again? And the only music festivals that were happening in Portland were kind of, I don't know, they didn't give a lot of chance to like the smaller local bands. And it wasn't very DIY. It wasn't accessible to all ages. It was, you know, you buy a wristband and you race around to clubs all over the place. And, you know, we just wanted to bring back something that was really, you know, altruistically motivated towards lifting the music community together instead of, you know, being a closed door. And so we started having meetings, and, you know, it floated around started at a bar called the Lucky Lab, and then it went to people's living rooms, and, you know, heated debates, and, you know, a lot of hustling and getting sponsors together, and, you know, people be doing great heists, getting bands like the Shins and M Ward and Slater Kinney and, you know, all these amazing, you know, and the Decemberists to all like lend their songs and material to piggyback smaller artists with. And so it was a big labor of love. And I only was involved for the first 3 years, and then I lost my mom and I kind of stepped away at that time. But I'm just so like, you know, like I said, my heart's full that people have held the torch and kept this thing going for more than 20 years. It's astonishing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all the compilations that come out are literally chock full of so many amazing artists out of Portland.
And it's always been like a step ahead of right. You know, if you like the artists that are just emerging or gaining their legs now, if you look back 2 years, they were on a comp, you know. So.
You know, the band Pool Boys,
our next show is with them.
Really?
Next
Awesome.
week. Yeah,
That's so exciting.
May 4th at Ron Tom's.
Yeah, I remember they were featured on a PDX pop comp from a few years ago, and they just put out a new record, if I'm not mistaken.
You are probably correct. I hate to not be Johnny on the spot with the right answer there, but we're excited to play together next week, and yeah, they're a great band.
Yeah,
so I know they've been on at least a couple of comps.
Yeah. No, I'm a big fan of them as well.
Fantastic band.
Well, thank you all so much for coming in and doing this in studio. This was so much fun.
Thank you for having us. Jamie, you chatted too much.
Yes. Thank you for having us.
Jamie, anything to add?
I love Risley.
We love Jamie.
Does anyone want a donut? We brought Top Pot donuts.
Yes, donuts, T-shirts, CDs.
We had to stop there. It's just kind of, it's just part of the trip. But
no, we're thrilled to be here. We really thank you for supporting us at all. It means the world. Yeah. And when you put yourself and your time into something that you believe in and feel like you created something, I think that the baseline hope is that it just gets heard.
Yeah.
And so it's a miracle to have you amplify any spark of our work, and we just are in your gratitude. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. We're a huge fan of the new record, and you can go check it out everywhere. It's streaming all over the place, I assume?
It is.
All over the place. Check out the new Risley record.
You can't escape it.
Well, thank you so much to our video team, everyone here at KEXP who makes these sessions possible, our big KEXP community who supports these live on KEXP sessions. If you want to become a donor or an amplifier, you can go to kexp.org, and while you're at it, you can go and subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch more amazing sessions just like this. It's Risley, live on KEXP.
thank you.
Thank you.
Discover new music at listener-powered KEXP.org.